Hey everyone, Elliot here. I recently picked up the first Walkman ever made. I can already hear screams and cries in the background of anal audiophiles and Walkman tryhards saying, "Oh, so you got the guys and dolls version? What do you think I am, a bloody millionaire?" Yeah, I got that one. I'm just joking. This is the second first Walkman ever made. I've already got the third first Walkman ever made, and I have already done a video on that one. But I wanted to do another video on a TPS-L2 that is in need of a bit more work. Besides the physical visual damage, this has an issue with the sound. It sounds incredibly muffled. Here, take a listen. As well as that, the hotline microphone pass-through does not work. So let's get into this. The Walkman is incredibly dirty inside. It's 40 years old, so I would expect some dirt, but it is particularly dirty inside this one, due to the oil or grease that they've used to lubricate the mechanisms. Much to my surprise, however, it does still work, but I thought I would pick up some new belts anyway, just to future-proof it. Let's start taking it apart. Remove the batteries and the cassette and undo the 3 Phillips screws on the spine of the Walkman. There's a small screw on the bottom and 2 on the back. Lift up the door and another screw holding the silver plastic edge piece inside needs to also be removed. There's 2 screws underneath the battery cover, take those out as well as the spring, which is what gives the door the lovely opening mechanism, and lift off the top piece to remove the final screw holding that plastic side piece down. Now we can start pulling it apart. This is the most damaged part of the whole Walkman. Ultimately, I do want to replace this, but in this video I'm going to paint it just to make it look a bit better. Once everything is apart, we can take a look at the mechanism, which is really nice to look at. If these things weren't so rare, it would be awesome to put a clear window on the back. So the microphone was stuck in the plastic side piece, disconnected entirely from the wires connecting it to the motherboard, which is probably why this thing doesn't work. To remove the belts, we have to free this motherboard, take off all of the really nasty sticky tape and lift it off to one side. We can now unscrew this bracket. Move it to the side, be careful not to bend the spring, and start removing the belts. The one on the top is fairly straightforward, but the second belt is a slight bit different. It loops around the motor in a very particular way, so be careful when putting it back together that you put it in correctly. The belts still have quite a lot of tensile strength, but you can definitely see when comparing it to the brand new ones that they have stretched. Time to fit the new belts in and start reassembly. I cleaned the Walkman a bit more off camera and made it spotlessly clean. I'll pop a cassette inside and test to see if it works. Fortunately, it did. Now it's time to adjust the speed to resolve some of the issues from the start. I played the original song on my speaker from my phone and listened to the Walkman with one headphone on my ear. There's a potentiometer at the top of the Walkman, which is what you turn to adjust the speed, but mine actually didn't need to be adjusted. Let's have a go at resoldering the microphone. I found an image online to help me correctly solder this back into place. Unfortunately, however, it still didn't work after resoldering it. So I actually took a microphone out of my lapel microphone, which I had lying around. I can always put this back later, but I'm going to order an actual replacement one for this, and I soldered that in its place. It's way too sensitive and picks up way too much noise, including the mechanism of the Walkman, but it will do the job for now. After giving everything a tiny bit more of a clean, I started reassembling. Let's turn our attention to this plastic piece. I ran some water and used a scouring pad as well as some wet and dry sandpaper to get it down to the raw plastic. Quite a lot went wrong whilst painting this thing, which was incredibly frustrating. I'll look at some of the paints that I used later on, but to start with, I used the wrong paint. It was way too glittery and shiny and looked quite, I don't know, like a toy. It wasn't very good. So I then went back to the shops and picked up some more paint. The paint I used is a sort of car body plasticky paint, so it worked incredibly well, and I actually took in my other Walkman into the shop and matched up the paint, and there was loads of different silvers in there, and I found one that was incredibly close. I then went back outside and painted it again. This took me, another half an hour, 45 minutes, but I got there in the end. I painted it again, and this is the final result. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Look at that. That is perfect. So this is the final product. This is the TPS-L2 second edition of the first ever Walkman ever made. Super happy with the results. As you can see, the paint job has turned out absolutely brilliantly. There is obviously no lettering on the side. I'm not too fussed about this, to be honest with you. It's not like you don't know what you're looking at because it is labelled on the back as well, actually, you know, in the injection mold in the plastic, but everything is beautiful. I did damage this piece a little bit whilst removing it, which is a bit frustrating, but honestly, it is far better than it was before at the start, and it looks like a mint condition Walkman. It did actually come with this sort of leathery case. I haven't spoken about this, but I think I've featured it in some of the B-roll. So this actually covers it all up anyway, the whole plastic piece. So that will, you know, protect it nicely whilst I'm using it, because this one I will definitely be using. I think these aren't quite as expensive as these ones, because this is the one that the Star-Lord Chris Pratt used in Guardians of the Galaxy. So this one is a little bit less expensive, but this body is in very good condition. Obviously, this secondary plasticky piece has been repainted by myself, so it's no longer original per se, but it was ruined to begin with, and I want to look for another one anyway, a brand new one. But for now, this is way better. You have to, you know, let me know in the comment section below what you think, but I'm buzzing. I'm so happy with how this has turned out. Let me just see if I can show you how close that paint job is. It's a little bit of a different finish. I would say this this paint that they've used is a little bit less shiny. I don't know, it's a bit more matted. I really don't know how to describe it, but unless you have them side by side, you're never going to know. And if you just put this on display, it would look like a mint condition brand new Walkman. Really happy with how this has turned out. It does work beautifully. Here's a little bit of footage of that. So the replacement belts were definitely worth getting. As for the microphone, this is the original microphone that was in there, and I do need to try and find one which is a similar diameter and similar sort of pickup specifications. I don't actually know what this is called, but the microphone that I've used in this thing is, as I said, from my lapel mic, so it's way too sensitive and it picks up way too much noise. Fortunately, you don't use the hotline button a lot. It was sort of a gimmicky thing that they took out after a couple of revisions of Walkman, but it works nonetheless. This is a fully functional Walkman which has been refurbished to my desire. I'm very happy with how it's finished. Oh, really quick, for the people that actually care, this is the different paint that I used. So this was the first one that I used, this paint right here, metallic silver. Elegant finish. It looked like it was going to be fine. I put it up to the Walkman and it did look like it was going to be okay, but it just came out like glitter. So the next one I used was this stone grey satin finish, which is not... That's how I would describe this Walkman, and you can see it look pretty similar, but this one, for whatever reason, it doesn't actually say plastic on it anywhere. It says wood, metals, and ceramics, so maybe I just used the wrong one. And finally, the one that worked was this stuff right here. There's the model number on the top if you ever come to using it. But it worked, it was beautiful, it came out lovely, and the only other mistakes I made were just my fault. So, I hope you guys enjoyed. See you later.